The breakneck pace of change in the world of media has brought many revelations in recent years. Few as stunning as the consumer appetite for on-demand audio in the form of podcasts. It was only 7 years ago that the true crime episodic podcast Serial helped launch a boom that shows no signs of slowing down. Estimates vary, but it is possible, if not likely, that there are more than 1 million podcasts available around the world today. Against that backdrop, imagine what it takes to break through to the very top echelon. That is exactly what our commencement speaker, Dr. Laurie Santos, has done. Her podcast, The Happiness Lab, has more than 35 million downloads to its credit and has been as high as number 3 on the US podcasts chart. The reasons for her success are many, and they tell us a lot about why Dr. Santos has also achieved acclaim as a scholar and mentor at Yale University. It begins with a remarkable intellect and work ethic that made possible her impressive journey from New Bedford High School to a Harvard PhD to the Yale faculty, where she has won numerous awards for her teaching and research. With the credibility and perspective that comes from that deep understanding of the science of psychology, Dr. Santos has elevated the discourse around a subject that is at once fundamental and essential. What are the factors that lead to well-being and happiness? Her immensely popular Yale course, Psychology and the Good Life, challenges students to understand the connections between the choices they make and the fulfillment they experience. These are lessons that have great value to all of us, and we are fortunate to have Dr. Santos here today to address our graduates and our guests. Please welcome Dr. Laurie Santos.
Hello and good morning, Friar family. Father Sicard, members of the faculty and staff, honored guests, family and friends, and last, but definitely not least, class of 2021. Thank you so much for having me here today. I know you're still awake. Come on. I'm glad for the applause because I can't tell you what an honor it is to be able to speak here at Providence College. As you heard, I'm a girl from New Bedford in the house, Fall River in the house. I know my homies are here, right? And I can't tell you what it means for a teenager from New Bedford who spent 9 years in Catholic school to come to Providence College and speak to you today. Back when I was growing up in New Bedford in the 90s, Providence College was like the coolest, most cosmopolitan hall of knowledge I could possibly imagine. Back then in New Bedford, I would look out at the signs for 195 and I would just be like, Providence. They have basketball there and a mall. This is what 15-year-old me would be dying to tell you right now, and I'm just like so excited to be able to talk to you today. You're making my preteen fantasies come true right now, and I might try to go to the Providence Place Mall after this, but we're not gonna say. But beyond just being a surreal experience for teenage me, it's an honor to speak to you all in particular. Your class has distinguished itself in so many ways, it's completely humbling. I'm looking out at amazing D1 athletes, fantastic writers, selfless public servants, fantastic artists, talented musicians, creative engineers, hardworking laboratory scientists, and some killer intramural spike ball players. Some of you have even gotten that coveted white blazer from the Friars Club. I'm seeing you all. Very impressed here. Just like, wow. But I wanted to take you all the time to kind of congratulate you on all these accomplishments, big and small, that you've had in the last 4 years in general. But it's particularly impressive that you've managed to achieve these accomplishments during one of the most challenging times our country and our world has ever seen. And we've talked about this year, and Father Sicard came up and was like, what a year it's been. But I think it's worth acknowledging that you all did not sign up for this, right? Like when you logged into the admission status portal and you found out that you got into Providence College, I bet they didn't add in fine print somewhere, oh, by the way, don't bother grabbing those March Madness tickets your junior year because this is a horrible global pandemic, so probably don't make any plans. They probably didn't say, hey, you need to clear your social calendar for, most of the second half of 2020, because there's not gonna be any dances at Peterson's, there's not gonna be any bingo at McPhail's, not much of a senior ring week, no late night madness in October, all that stuff gone. Nobody told you that. There was also probably no mention of N95 masks or stay-at-home orders or COVID-19 protocols. If I traveled back to the day that you first stepped foot on campus, and I quizzed you, and I said, what is Zoom? You might say that it was something that you did with your camera, or in a super fast car or something, right? None of you knew what you were gonna be facing in the last 15 months. We just absolutely couldn't have possibly imagined. But in spite of all of that, you are still sitting here, proudly, graduates now, the first post-pandemic class of Providence College to physically gather here for their commencement address. You're ready to head off into this new post-pandemic world that we've all found ourselves in. And that is an absolutely incredible accomplishment. You all rock, and you should be all proud of yourselves. One more round of applause. But full disclosure, the current time that we find ourselves in is also a tricky time to be giving a commencement address. Because members of the class of 2021, the usual role of the commencement speaker is to give you some long-winded, deep and wise advice that imparts some important things that I want to tell you in a very sure of yourself way about your future. But we're celebrating all of your achievements at a time when the future seems more uncertain than ever. Even for the old folks like me, we usually act like we know what's going on, but even though I'm a scientist and a happiness expert, this is still my first global pandemic rodeo. I, like you, like most of the people on the planet, have no idea what the next few months or even next few years hold. And so when I began thinking about what tips I can share with you to get through what is more than ever an uncertain future, I decided to fall back on some advice that I knew I could be sure of. I know that this is a strategy that works because it's been one that's been scientifically proven to make you physically healthier and happier. It's got the stamp of science. So what's that strategy? It's one that we're gonna try out right now. It is that I want you to take a moment to experience a little bit of gratitude. A simple act of noticing what you're thankful for. Now, gratitude sounds really cheesy. I saw some of you make the face when I was like, what's the strategy? And you're like, gratitude? Pfft. Gratitude feels pretty old school. It feels really countercultural. In 2021, we feel like we're kind of doing the thing where we complain a lot and kvetch a lot and share that with our friends on all social media platforms, right? That is a fun thing. These days, we're more likely to count our hassles than our blessings. These days, if you look at the ratio of wholesome memes to super mean and kind of annoying memes, the ratio isn't right there. These days, we're more likely to cancel than to appreciate. And in a lot of ways, I'm gonna be honest, that urge to complain makes sense because things have been lousy. Legitimately, there is a lot to kvetch about these days. I mean, it is fantastic that we have this wonderful weather and you all can kind of gather here together. This is amazing, but it's been a really rough year that's worth acknowledging. This is the kind of thing where you're all here together thinking that you're gonna head off into a relatively scary, uncertain world, right? And that can be particularly tough. And don't even get me started on all the bigger, non-pandemic stuff. Anti-Black violence, structural racism, political polarization, climate change. These are legitimately awful, scary things, and they're all happening right now. But the scientific research shows that if your generation is gonna have the bandwidth to improve all this annoying stuff, because it is falling to you, if you're gonna have that emotional bandwidth, then you're gonna need some scientific backup. And gratitude, the research shows, can give you that. Science shows that grateful people aren't just happier, but they're healthier. They sleep better, and they have stronger immune function. Gratitude can reduce depression and anxiety, but gratitude also makes you more productive. It turns out grateful people are more likely to save for retirement. There's evidence that they eat in a more healthy way. They're less likely to procrastinate, and they're more likely to do stuff that's hard in the moment that they know will benefit themselves in the future. Running on gratitude is kind of like running on Dunkin', but you don't have to beg your friends to get it for you from the Slavin Center. And so let us try it. We're gonna try it out, scientific experiment right here in Providence College graduation. I'm gonna have you experience some gratitude. So humor me, graduates. I want you to all close your eyes right now. And I want you to take a moment to remember the day you found out you got in. Like what your parents said, what your friends said, how excited you were. If I was close enough to the parents in the back, I'd probably see some of them smiling because they probably remember that day too. Now I want you to take a moment to remember the first time you stepped on this campus for real. Not if you came for some visit day, but the first day of your freshman year, the day you were finally a college student. Take a moment to remember how that felt. And now I want you to take a moment to experience gratitude for the long path you've had since that day. It was just 4 years, but I bet it feels like a lifetime. Take a moment to experience some gratitude for how different you are, for how far you've come since that day. Okay, now I want you to open your eyes and do a little bit more gratitude. Now I want you to take a moment to experience gratitude for something else, not just for the long path you've been on, but for all the people who've helped you along the way. Because none of you have made this journey on your own, and that means this accomplishment is something you share with a huge village. Soon you're gonna go home, and in the mail you're gonna get your diploma, and you're gonna open it up really excitedly, and you're gonna see your name, like right near Providence College, your name big in bold. And it will just be your name. But what I want you to understand today is that there's lots of other names on there too. My colleague at Yale, Steve Pitty, another head of college like me, once told me an analogy that has stayed with me for many, many years, which is the idea that on every college diploma, there are lots and lots of other names. They're just there in invisible ink. And so I want you to have some gratitude for the other names that are on there in invisible ink, because on your diploma in invisible ink are gonna be the names of your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunties and uncles and cousins, family friends, grandparents, step-parents. On your diplomas in invisible ink will be the names of many, many generations of people who worked incredibly hard so you could get here. So that some of you could be the first members of your family to get here. Shout out to all my first-gen students out there. On that diploma in invisible ink are your high school teachers, your high school mentors and coaches. On that diploma in invisible ink are all the people here at Providence College, your priests and professors, the Providence College athletic staff. On that diploma in invisible ink are all the staff who helped you, the dining hall workers at Ray. And I'm told that Dot, her name is gonna be there in big ink, big invisible ink right there. Providence College seniors, there are so many unthanked people who have been on this journey with you. And whether it's obvious or not, their names are gonna be on that paper right beside yours in invisible ink. But the beauty of gratitude is that we can make what's invisible visible. And so I want you to do that now. I want you to stand up and let all of those invisible names on that diploma know that you are grateful. They're all back there and around, so stand up and give them some love. Now, as you keep standing, we're gonna do one final bit of gratitude before we end. Your last act is to feel grateful for the thing that you're going to miss the most when you leave here. Not the basketball games, not even the Dunkin'. The thing that you're gonna miss most is each other. So while you're standing up, I want you to take a moment to look around. Look around at the fellow students who are sitting in your row or behind you, or that friend who's in a totally different spot. Take a moment to feel the gratitude for the people who've really made up your Friar family, your teammates and suitemates, your lifelong best friends, who you'll be stepping away from today. Take a moment to experience just how grateful you are for the huge role that they have played in your life. And if you want to give them a shout out and some clap and some love, I bet they would appreciate it too. All right, now you can sit back down again. But as you do, I want you to take a quick moment to notice how you feel. A warmth in your chest, maybe. I saw some happy tears there, especially when I was going through those invisible names. Some of you might have a genuine sense like you are connected to something bigger. the fact that there are a bunch of people in this world who have your back, and that feels amazing. That feeling that you have is gratitude. As you've heard, it's a performance-enhancing drug, and it also feels really amazing. But no matter where you go in life, this feeling is available to you. That good, happy, warm feeling you can get in your toughest times and your darkest moments. It can always be there when you need it. You just need to take time to turn it on and appreciate. Class of 2021, I hope you will take this scientific tip to heart. We need you to have as much emotional bandwidth as you can to fix all the annoying stuff. But today, I want to speak for everyone else when I say that so many of your teachers and family members and friends are feeling that same warm emotion because they have so much gratitude for all of you and all that you've accomplished. Congratulations again on this achievement. Here's to deeply and intentionally appreciating all that life brings you from here on out. Congratulations, and go Friars.